People are also here taking time out. It's an honor to have current leader of the current government with us. What a blessing it is. Students, when you take the lead like this and do such things, it's really good. I think your tip is right on point. Connecting minds, strengthening unity, building the future of West Sepik. Connecting minds is powerful. So for those of you who colluded to come up with the theme, I take my hat off to you all. I think service delivery, of course, is vital in our country or in an economy of such. It's difficult to try and put it into some kind of words. Let me just give a little bit of a background. I'm not a public service person. I'm a public service provider. Yes. My younger brother is a public service. He works in a public service, and the brother after him also has a lot of experience there. They are the ones who probably the right people to sit here and to talk to people about public service machinery. But I just want to talk to you students about the common conscience or common sense around what we need to do. And for your students, you need to open your mind a little bit about public service. Public service doesn't mean that if you are in the private sector, you cannot contribute there. No, you are needed. You are really needed. In a country like this, and we have a member of parliament who's also our local member sitting here who can vouch for that your brains are needed. Connecting minds is a powerful way of saying, yes, you are needed. You know? So one of the key things that we often miss is consultation with community leaders. Those people are leaders for a reason. They're trusted by the local population. They're trusted by the people, our people, the people in the village, the people in the back pages of Sundown where those of us who come to school here, we work outside in the bigger cities, we hardly go there. So those people have leaders whom they trust. Consultation with them is really important in service delivery. Because when you talk to them, you understand the challenges firsthand of what they face on a daily basis on how to reach government services. I'll give you an example. In 2022, I contested in the elections. It was an honor to do that. I didn't contest to win. I'm not John Tekwi. I'm not, Josugi. I'm not. I'm just David Tekwi, like you. I'm just another Sundown person, another person with a heart to try and find out what is the challenges faced by our people. So, funny enough, I was the only candidate out of 70 candidates that contested the seat. And there were lots of candidates because 3 of our fathers actually lost their lives called home between the previous election and 2022. 3 of our fathers, of our province. And under them are sons and daughters who were more qualified than David Tekwi, to contest. Like some of those really close to late John Tekwi told me, why are you raising your hands? We are closer to him than you. I said, yes, you are. You go for the seat. I'm going for something else. So, and that's important this conversation is bringing out. So I was one of the, in my opinion, I shouldn't say I was the only, but I think I was. My sister, Yvonne Mike can prove me wrong, but I think I was the only Sundown candidate in NG 2022 that actually walked the length and breadth of Sundown province. I walked the 4 bin bays. Unit, back, Oxabi, Sisimi. All of those. I went into a place that there was a little village where only 5 eligible voters were there. They asked me, why did you come here, Pini? You come there, no have votes there. So no, I didn't come for the vote. I need to understand why my father walked this place. And I found out that I was the only 2nd person in the history of that village to see a candidate go there. The first person looked like me, and he walked there a few years ago. Maybe more smarter than me, more louder than me, but there was that guy. He walked there. I walked a few years after, many years after. I went to some places where this guy is from. In the mountains so high, where some of you are from, where oxygen goes very short, very low. You need to be designed differently genetically to survive there.
But when I was walking up there, it removes you from, like, for me, it removed me from my wife and my kids. They are based in Australia at that time. You know? And I had a little baby who was born around that time. All of those people were removed from me. The intention of politics was removed from me. I was struggling to survive because I could feel my chest beating like this for oxygen at the very high altitude. I was climbing up something mountain over into the other village on the other side, Gawa. I was going to Gawa on the other side. And it's a mountain and steep there. Some people that sit on there, I don't think you've ever climbed that mountain in your life. You need to. When you go there, you'll understand the challenges of life. And when I was there, climbing that mountain, the person that came to pick me told me, Boo-boo, only 2 hours, we'll get to the other side. It took me about 9.5 hours. I thought I was gonna, I just, sorry to take a bit of time here. I just wanted to lay a little bit of a foundation here. When I went there, cut a long story short, there were a few people who worked before me. They carried a 10,000 liter Tafa tank. They carried a coffin before me, and we see the side of the mountain also to climb that mountain. And how did they make it over that mountain? Nobody more people because of fighting process and people Iron Man about nobody more town. They died up there. None of them would have survived. When I went there, 4 young boys from back came and found me. I didn't even know them. I didn't know them, but their fathers walked with my dad, my late father. Their fathers carried my late dad between take-up and back. My father couldn't walk. Their fathers carried him. They showed me the place where their fathers cut the bush and made the chairs to one the bed. Now put it there, me on top. Now I remember about Goloba. So they came. They followed their father's footsteps. And when we walked up that mountain, through, I can tell you guys, I forgot about my dear wife. I love her so dearly. And I forgot about it. Forgot about my baby who was just born, and I love him to death. He's my baby. His name is Benjamin, my last born, son of the right hand. I forgot all about him. My mind was just between me and a spiritual place. And I had this voice very clearly in my mind. It said, son, it is for this reason that I walk this place. It wasn't even my dad. I know my dad was one of the only son of candidates who has ever walked that mountain range. But it is for this reason. What reason was that? What reason was that? I had to find it for myself. I'm happy to see my little brother here as well, who helped me on the journey on Nuku. So he's here. Thank you. Consultation with community leaders. That's point number 1. That's really important. I needed to go and see who are the leaders in those places. I was presented in a little village. I went and I met the chief of the little village, from the young boys in New Plant. The lily place, the back airport, the Goran Lotambo, and the backside street, the backside, and lily place, the Astro Mountain, and on the lily place. There was a chief there. And he had a village. And they entrusted him the power to rule them as their chief. They were so happy to see me that they gave me one of the bilum, they gave me one of the spear, and I thought, no, I'm not something to give you. It's a 5 star, you go water, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm all right. So I was like a give, like you knock out them. So no one worry, Lord, I didn't come for that. You know? They gave me the bilum and they said, well, no, people sound you. They gave me the spear, only kind of strong people that people like giving you. Now you're going to campaign to sundown election. So that was powerful. When I went there, I saw community leaders and I realized consultation was important. That we would understand what are the thriving, pressing needs of our people if we actually connect with them. Number 2, cooperation with existing mechanisms. We need to learn to trust the processes of government. We need to. Just because someone has made wrong decisions does not mean the processes are there. It needs you to rise up and trust those processes. We've got a member of parliament sitting here who's trying to tell us in a friendly way to trust the processes. We can trust the processes, we will see some results. Those processes were not designed by just anybody. They were designed by our forefathers who were once students as well. They were here. They tried their best to build a country that we can stand on today. so that we have a place to build. So two important things I learned was number one, coordination or consultation, with local community leaders. That's number one. Number two is cooperation with existing mechanisms, learning to trust those existing mechanisms. If we can do that, I'm sure as a province will go a very, very long way. There are sons and daughters of our province who are currently in the engine room of our province. At the same time, there are sons and daughters like you and me, who for the last few weeks, or I'd say a few days now, 11 days now, have jumped online and are looking at something very exciting that's trying to drain the brains of this country outside of our dear country. Are you going to jump on that ship? Are you going to come back home? I've been away for about 15 years. My eldest son is sitting over there, Joshua, raising him up. He's 16 years. He's a UPNG student. He was born here. His mom graduated with him, so he's got a degree from here. I don't. And I'll leave this point and hand it over to the next panel very quickly with you. At one stage, I also walked the halls of these corridors of this beautiful university, this beautiful institution. It's a great place to connect minds. It's a great place. I came to university as a very good student in high school. Won a lot of awards, I came here and actually failed here. I failed here. John Sepik could not believe that I failed because I was his pride and joy. I was the dark student my whole life. How could I fail? I failed here for a few reasons. Number one, my heart was somewhere else and my mind was somewhere else. I fell in love too, here at UPNG. That was probably one of the reasons why John Sepik thought I failed, but it was not the core reason. I wanted to help my people, and I thought becoming a doctor was the way. So I went to MedFech. It didn't work out. Came back here, and I found a woman I am now married to, mother of my boy there, here. But I did fail here. If you go through my records, I did fail. And I want to leave this with you people. Failure is not the end. It's actually the beginning of discovery of who you are. You discover that you need to consult with leaders, your fathers who gone before you. You discover that you need to trust the process. Take your time through the process. And if I don't get a chance to say this again later tonight, let me just say this here that it's important to understand and accept this. Accept that you're a human being. You're not Jesus Christ. You're not Bill Gates. You're just a human being. But there's no one like you on this planet. There can never be another one like you. So I just want to strengthen what our dear leader has just said tonight. Yes, there will be other leaders like him rising up. You're all sitting here. But you will not be there. You'll walk in the grace and the countenance of our fathers. Yes, but we will never be there. The shoes are too big for us to wear. So let's create our shoes. God bless.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Sepik. What a way to start our discussions tonight. On to the next panelist number 2, Mr. Frederick Iwe. Just a quick reminder for our panelists. We'll have probably just 4 minutes each for the questions so that we can go through the whole question. Thank you very much for your understanding. Alright, Mr. Frederick Iwe. Many young people struggle to find employment after completing their studies. What practical solutions can address youth unemployment in West Sepik?
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
All right, firstly, it is a pleasure and an honor to be here tonight talking to you, the young leaders of West Sepik and the country tonight. Thank you to Redefining Exploration PNG Limited for providing the FS to attend this forum tonight. It is my employer's contribution under the community policy, service policy towards Sepik. As a Sepik person in the senior management at the project site in New Ireland. My employer, and it is my honor and pleasure to acknowledge my employer as well for making my presence tonight to attend the forum. Anyway, let's get to the question and what we are here to hear from me. We are actually the leaders. We are the leaders now. We don't have to wait until tomorrow. We are the leaders today. What we do today is what we are going to reap tomorrow, and what our children will reap tomorrow. Talking about employment, many of us, or I would say most of us, think that employment is all about getting paid, waiting for someone to pay you after a fortnight. That shouldn't be the mentality that we should have. Shouldn't be the mentality we have. That was what we were, or our forefathers were told and taught. We should change the status quo. We should think about getting educated, learning ABC, how to read and write, and do mathematics. That's all we need. And that can sustain us to be employed. Now we have not clarified what employment we are referring to. Is it self-employment, or is it employed by somebody else to be paid for after working 14 days? Looking back to Sepik, one of the things that I have observed living in the province, working outside of the province for the last 20 years, Sepik lacks vocationals, the TVET institution. That is an institution that would prepare the very youth at the primary level to face the life after that. Now we're going back to this 166, whatever, that we may not be having greater examinations, and we will only be having grade ones. What does the government have for us there? Before that, many of us left school after grade 6. We go back home thinking that we don't have the education to secure a job, to secure employment. That is not true. Knowing how to read and write, knowing how to do addition and subtraction, and basic multiplication and division, that should have given us the walking stick to face life and be employed, self-employed. We have huge land and back home that we could always rely on to sustain ourselves. That is employment. That is what I see in Sepik. So, getting an education level, qualification, whatever, I don't believe in that. I believe in at least knowing how to read and write, do mathematics. And you can be a businessman, you can be somebody who can have money at your own timing, at your own level, rather than doing something like some of us we are doing, working for 14 days for somebody to get paid. But one of the things that I've mentioned, Sepik lacks the different institutions. That is a level of education that can prepare our youth technically. Back at where I'm working, I'm actually a project leader. And I'm employing students who have graduated from vocational Tibet, tourism and hospitality. taking care of the housekeeping, the kitchen, laundry. This basic tourism and hospitality back in the different institutions that they have. And New Ireland have a lot of them compared to West Sepik. So my response to this question would be that employment we shouldn't see employment as getting educated and working for someone to pay us. We should see it as getting educated is a walking stick, and we should be using that to walk alone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hewitt. That was quite motivating for every one of us. Alright, to our third panelist, Ms. Lionel Knight. Despite West Sepik's rich natural and economic resources, many communities continue to face economic hardship. Why is this the case, and what can be done differently?
Hey, good evening, everyone. Sorry, can you hear me? Hi, thank you for having me and my family tonight. The resources are not the problem. We have forests, tourism, and roads. The challenge is converting those resources into economic opportunities, and that is where we stand. It is not about lack of resources, it's the economic opportunities. The challenges we have or we face is we greatly divided because we don't have infrastructure that connects everyone. And I'm really happy that Mr. I beg your pardon, tonight has, there was one of the things I was thinking about, and then he said the roads connecting. And, if any place, a development, the foundation is infrastructure. If we do not have infrastructure connecting all the districts, how can we elevate from the economic hardship that we have? Let me put it into a layman's term. If you live in Guatemala, the food is very expensive, right? So, I go home, but then you buy broccoli from the supermarket, it's quite expensive. Because we have to put it on ship, take it all the way to the shore. Now imagine if we can connect all the way to California. And they provide all the goodies, the natural food. They don't have to buy from the other districts, other provinces, I beg your pardon. And I believe every district has each resources. I've heard of the river, they connected to, I haven't been there, sorry, but I've heard that there's a lot of fish from the Sepik River they take that. Imagine you can supply the market down at Vanilla. The butters is at your doorstep. We sit in a very strategic place that we can create. It is not the resources that we lack. It is the infrastructure that needs to connect everyone. We may say, lack of financial access, skills gap, and knowledge. But if we don't connect each other through land, which is the only means of transport, or we can't fly, we can, but that's quite expensive for everyone. I believe once we have all the infrastructure in place, that can elevate what we're facing in terms of economic hardship. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lionel Knight. On to our next panelist, Mr. Mario Leonor. What are the most pressing health and social issues affecting communities in West Sepik, and how can they be addressed?
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone. Good night once again. Good night once again. I acknowledge the presence of Honorable Minister, Secretary, thank you. I think for me, from my own personal perspective, and I hope many of you know the realities of our health issue in the province. So, I wouldn't talk much on it. I'll just be short, straight to the point, and I'll shut up and continue to sit down. Thank you. I think we all know our struggle with the province right now is we have national health issues, we have malaria, TB. These are the pressing and ongoing issues that all of us have been facing across our 4 districts and in the province. And the main issue of the pressing health issue is not about health itself, and it's about accessibility. Accessibility to a housing, to a hospital, or clinic, or health center. And with what our minister here has successfully launched in the province now, and what my big sister Lena has said, connectivity is one of the significant infrastructure in any location that will enable the service delivery of government, NGOs, and other stakeholders that have been contributors. So, for myself, working in an NGO space, we work with community development, and we work together with people. We are community focused, we are child focused, and we work with the vulnerable to provide accessibility to basic accessibility of livelihood, the necessity of life. So everyone has to have a fair share of what a real life and how to live as a human being. So from my understanding about this, it's about working together. Not everything can be accessed by one single person. So government, NGOs, and civil society organizations. And when we talk about civil society organizations, we mean churches, women's groups, youth groups. These are communities that we have to work collaboratively together to achieve the outcome of community development, social well-being, and also drug abuse and our social lifestyles that affect our generation, current generation now. Because we are living in on a border province, we are exposed to like international crimes, drugs, alcohol abuse, all these things. So now our youth nowadays, they are very vulnerable to all these things. So in order to try to reduce, we cannot totally eliminate. So it's like corruption. Corruption, you cannot eliminate corruption, but you can only reduce the effect of corruption. So it's something like that. In order for us to socially, in order for us to develop our community and our social well-being and our health, it's about collective effort. Collective effort and good measures of working together. I think my time is up. I think it is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Noah. A very strong point brought up there about reducing the effect. I believe that's a very effective way of tackling the big issues by slowly reducing the effect of whatever that is affecting our province. To our fifth panelist, Mr. Alton Paul. How have infrastructure challenges such as roads, bridges, communications, and transport affected development in West Sepik?
Thank you, moderator. Good night, my fellow speakers. I wanted to be here with you tonight. I believe our time is running out, so I'll dive into answering the questions that I accept. So it's about the challenges in the infrastructure that we have. When we have poor infrastructures, how does it affect our people? So recently we have conducted a census in 2024, our recent census. So from the top of your head, could you know the number of the population in our province of West Sepik? It's a good question, huh? Do your research, understand the numbers, know the population? These are the people that you are trying, this is what we are doing now, huh? We are trying to connect and help our people. So West Sepik, we have 4 districts, I think 18 LLT, 344 wards, and 1,225 census units, the villages that we have in West Sepik. It is quite a number. So when you look at the land size of West Sepik is the so West Sepik we have the 10th in landmass, the 10th largest landmass in the country. The provinces, after Western Province and East Sepik, West Sepik, we have the 10th largest landmass. So you see the difficulty that we have in terms of providing service and the infrastructure that we have. So if we are gathered tonight, and we are talking about delivering those infrastructures, looking at the challenges that our people have, we have to project and understand in 50 years' time what will be our population. Will the infrastructure we are talking about population that is coming? You guys want to say picture, right? So that is the challenge that we have now. Because when we have poor infrastructure, it increases the cost of traveling to reach an hospital. Or for students, if you're going off holidays, there is no proper road connection. You have to walk, it increases the cost. It affects our local people. To access health services, if you don't have proper roads, bridges, these things in place. So it increases the cost, it affects our people. So for you students, I'm a strong believer of research. If you are a final year student now, think of thesis or your major paper. Write something that is practical, it's applicable. Look at the problem that we have in the district. Identify the knowledge gap that we have and address it. We address local problems with the local knowledge that we have. So these things become practical. It will help our leaders to have a better understanding of what is happening now. So, for myself, it is important that infrastructure not only connects our people, but it gives economic opportunities to our people. So when you want to look at the bigger picture, our dependency ratio in statistics, it means that for 100%, how many 100% working, how many people are dependent on those working people? So let me say, for all the recent statistics that we have in the province, our rate is 62. It's very, very high. Meaning, 100 money work, age group of 0 to 14, na 65 in over, which the people of less. 62 plus depend 100 money work. There is dependency ratio when we talk about. So, if you wanna, I would say, you have power in community people place. We have to put the money into the people's pocket. In a way, we have to empower them. Our infrastructure will be upgraded. Our farmers need to have access to market easily. Like my panelists mentioned about one problem is very high. Connectivity, it's all about. So my message to you all students tonight is write a practical thesis or a major paper, looking at the problem that we have in the province, identify the knowledge gap, and you write a practical paper, and maybe submit to our provincial government to look at those issues. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Poet. All right, to panelist number 6, Mr. Matthew Adadikam. Since you're a principal lawyer, you will definitely be talking about law and order. So law and order remain a concern in many communities, which is very true and very evident within our communities all over PNG. What practical measures can strengthen justice, public safety, land issues, and community security in West Sepik?
Thank you, moderator. Certainly placed a lot of pressure on me to, as a principal, way to address this question. Hope I do justice to this question. First of all, there's Sepik, and most importantly, the young architects of the future, the students here. I acknowledge in particular my local member, Honorable Joseph, is here. We are from the same local area. You can pass my house and area before you go to his place at Nablo. I'm from Wati. So I prepared some notes on this question, so I prefer to speak by this not as we lawyers tend to talk a lot when given such questions to talk about. Before I answer these questions, I just want to offer a short preface. I am a commercial litigation lawyer or a corporate lawyer. For about 10 years, or almost 10 years in the corporate space. So I approached this task answering this question with great humility. I also recognize the work of our frontliners involved managing and looking after the law and order. Law and order is everyone's business. It's not just Sundown's issue for our province. It's an issue that is confronting every aspect, government, corporate, and to our ordinary citizens in our province. So, in our province, we have those frontliners, the police officers, correctional service officers, down to the ward level, we have village councillors, you have policemen at that level, and everyone trying their best to ensure that the issues of law and order are adequately handled or dealt with. And so I also acknowledge the work of, in particular, Sundown Province, the work of public solicitors. We closely work with our communities, especially those disadvantaged, financially disadvantaged. They're exercising their constitutional duty to ensure these disadvantaged people have access to legal representation. Now, having said that, I recall a conference that I attended to a couple of years ago. It's called an Underlying Law Conference, where judges, police officers, and all those involved in the law and justice sector attended to, in particular, discussion around developing the underlying law, which is our customs, the judge-made laws as they apply our laws in courts, in our decisions. They create precedents. These are judgment laws. They are known as the underlying law. So in that conference, Justice Kennings, who is one of the leading judges, judicial minds in the human rights space, he said these words, and I think perfectly sums up the problem we have in this country. He says that this country does not have a law problem. This country has an order problem. Every year, our politicians, our legislators pass laws. Our constitution is one of the most amended constitution in the world. It has been amended 47 times. And just think of it. Constitution is just one document. We have hundreds of laws, acts of parliament, subordinate legislative enactments, organic laws, so many of them. Every year we have new laws introduced to parliament. We have amendments, acts of parliament. And so that those words that I took it to heart, and every time when I'm asked the question of law and order problems, if we focus on the right fight, I think we would have handled our resources and put it where it should be. And I think the problem we have in this country is the lack of enforcement and the ability for our enforcement agencies to see through the whole process of arresting the person, charging the person, and to secure a successful conviction of the person. And to do so, we adequately resource our policemen at the community level. We need to ensure that the village officers who are dealing with community problems, we need to ensure that they are supported and given the financial assistance to be able to police law and order issues at the level. We can amend the criminal code to criminalize an act. But if those people who are meant or intended to enforce the laws are not adequately supported, then the laws as good as just existing in a vacuum. And so, to you students, I encourage you to read your law, understand your rights. The Constitution, our Constitution, is one of the most detailed constitutions in the world. It contains an exhaustive set of principles and rules and regulations and institutions, establishes institutions and create rights. And it also allows for the enforcement of those rights. And where laws are lacking, the judges I've seen in recent times that they initiative upon themselves because they see that there is a huge need for enforcement. So one of the initiatives that the judges have taken is they've applied section 57 of the Constitution, which is an inquiry powers given to the judges to apply or to do an inquiry of their own. We've seen an example where Judge Jennings has recently in Vanimo exercised that power, section 57 of the Constitution, where he ordered the provincial government of West Sepik to finance or support the correctional service to improve the facilities there. There is a power that the judges have exercised upon themselves because they saw that the public service or the members responsible have neglected those very fundamental state institutions. And that's not remote. That same power has been exercised elsewhere. For example, up in Tari, where Judge Kostepolis, I believe I pronounce his name correctly, has made an order, that's in recent times, for the police to convene a committee to deal with law and order tribal rights issues up in Tari. And also in Kerama, we've seen Justice Bevery given an order recently to the provincial government to fix the deteriorating state of the Correctional Service Institute. So judges have kind of taken on that fight themselves because they think that our authorities have neglected a very important function where they have been mandated to deliver. That's basically to deliver for the people for which they have given the mandate to serve. And so against that sort of backdrop, my thoughts or my takeaway for this particular question is three important key points. First, I think that the most short and immediate priority is to ensure that we stabilize the frontliners policing as a short-term intervention. We've seen a lot of law and order issues on the rise, especially with our farmers trying to transport their crops to the towns to be able to sell them to earn some money. They have been attacked on the road. They have been robbed. All their earnings have been taken away from them. And this, it's a very, very sad scenario. These are ordinary people. This is the only way for them to make money. And they have been robbed, and this is happening on a daily basis. And these criminals, they act as if they act without fear for the law. It's because there is lack of active police presence on the ground. And rightly so, because currently the ratio that we have is about every police officer to 2,400 to 2,600 people. One police officer too. So it's just simply inadequate for police to be able to manage our population. And that is well below the United Nations ratio of about 1 officer per 260 people. So you can see that there is a huge gap in terms of our policing capacity. And not only that, the police needs funding. They need infrastructural support, and they need things like fuel and vehicles to be able to adequately patrol our roads to ensure that monitoring steam no comes out of the road. It's a huge task for them. Not only the small things like small crimes, petty crimes, they're dealing with robberies, which are serious crimes matter along the highway. So the first point is we need as a short-term priority to adequately fund our police. If we can open more of great works to enter the force and send them back, build police stations along the roads, and we have to adequately fund our police. The second point is we need to get a bottom-up approach, and that starts at the community level. As I mentioned, we need to support our community, our ward leaders. We need to support our policemen who are on the ground at the ward level, those auxiliary police. We need to support our mediators. These are the people who are responsible to ensure that within the society, our society exists in units or villages, that their actions contribute to the wider community. So if we're able to care to contain law and order issues at the community level, then we can control the problems that exist on a wider scale. So my second point is that we need, as a long term, we need to look at the bottom-up approach, starting with the community level. And of course, the third point is that when it comes, and I said it with all due respect to my member here, and when it comes to voting hour, when it comes to elections is just around the corner now. Our leaders, you have to look at the kind of leader that probably represents our people, who understands struggles that the people face, particularly law and order issues. And this is your opportunity to see where the problem is and whether or not interventions are enough. And you have the democratic right, it's given to you. You have the ability to say that, yes, I am satisfied in the way things are going. I'm satisfied that law and order is being adequately resolved. If not, you have the power to make the decision to vote the leader that will prioritize that particular issue and will, ensure that the people's interests are at heart. So that's the third point in relation to the issue of law and order. I've also been asked to talk about the land, but I'm conscious of the time, land issues. So I'm conscious of the time, so I will not go much into the land issues, but again, as my fellow panelists have said, opportunities are there. We can emphasize on agriculture and we can emphasize on all these opportunities that arise. But really, we need to free up land in West Sepik. Land is perhaps our single most important asset, unlike the other provinces. Like they have natural resources. Ours is more, our untapped potential is in land. But how do we access it? How do we make the ordinary customary landowners convert that land into something valuable? We need to start freeing up land by helping people to register their land. They need to have titles that are bankable, that they can liaise with investors to come invest on the land. There are processes under the Land Act for lease dispute, for the landowners to register the land, bring in investors to partner with them, develop the land. We need to look at those existing mechanisms. We need to put in money to help the local landowners where there is potential. They have to register their land. They have to convert the untapped potential into something that they can access, that they can bring to the banks, they can partner with investors and bring money into their pockets. You talk about agriculture. Yes, that's fine. We can implement currents and bring it up to the towns and sell them, but how much we lay? The problem we get 100 kina, the best 1,000 kina. But there's so much more to achieve than just opening up the markets for them. You actually have to give them the opportunity to participate by freeing up the land, converting the land rights into registerable instruments that they can actually partner with the investors, create income earning opportunities, and also use them to secure the future as well by registering their land. So that's probably, I've probably gone over the time, but those are my thoughts on this question.